Welcome to the Everyday Ironman podcast, where we talk to real athletes just like you and me that are working to achieve an incredible goal. My name is Mike Bosch, and joining me for her first check in is Brooke Fuller. Brooke, how are you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling great. Feeling great.
You're
Happy to
feeling
be
great?
here.
Well, we're
Yes,
we're
sir.
happy. We're happy to see you. And it's winter, right? It's winter and things are cold, and we just wanted to see how you were doing. We obviously in your introduction a couple weeks back, you shared how you're just now getting into triathlon, and you have
hmm
graciously agreed to let us follow along with your journey. And we talked about it briefly just before we started our recording tonight. Some of our conversations are going to be 10 minutes, and some of them are going to be an hour. Right? We just don't know. We That's the beauty of podcasting, is you just don't know what's going to happen. Right? Um, but I do have to say, Brooke, you've picked the toughest time of the year to get started in triathlon. And I don't know, I don't know how it's working out for you exactly. You're about 4 hours from me, but
Mhm.
it is cold where I'm at. How's the weather where you are?
Well, today it was 11 to 15-ish. The other day it
Oof.
was 0. We had one day it was -2 for a bit. So
Oh
definitely
my goodness.
cold and windy.
Oh, and that's the thing. It's the wind. It's not even just the
Right.
temperature. It's the wind chill that is just,
hmm
oh my God, it is unbelievable.
For sure.
I uh
For sure.
I have mentioned before that on the podcast that I struggle distinguishing between the headwind and the tailwind, particularly when I'm
hmm
running. Yesterday, that was not the case. I could definitely feel the tailwind. That was the only time
Right.
that I think I've ever done that. But anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. Have you been able to get any training in, or have you competed in anything since the last time we spoke?
So since the last time we spoke, I have been running. I've done a few, for me, longer bike rides.
Okay,
Haven't been able to swim, but I did after my last race just decided to take a couple weeks, not off, but just lighten my load for a bit.
sure.
Um, since I hadn't really given myself a break in a while.
Okay,
So just started back my training plan for my marathon in April started last Monday, I guess it was. And then on day
okay.
3 or 4 came down with COVID. So took a few
Ugh,
days off and then just got back to running today in the 11
got you,
degrees. So that was
got you.
fun.
And
Yeah.
so you were running the Oklahoma City Marathon, is that correct?
Yes. Yes. That's the
A-
one.
And that is the end of April. We are middle of January. So
hmm
what is that? About 18 weeks from now?
So it was 16 weeks from last Monday or Sunday, I guess it was.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
15 weeks out.
Okay. I'm as bad at
Yeah.
math as I am geography, just so we're clear on
Good to
that.
know.
And what kind of training volume does your marathon training plan have you doing?
So right now, I run 4 days a week.
Okay.
Today I did about 40 to 45 minutes today. Typically I'll do a couple runs that are about 3 to 4 miles and then one that's probably 5 to 7. And then my Saturdays are quite a bit longer,
Gotcha.
running an hour and a half or so. And this is my first time training for a full, so I can't just
Okay.
be like, oh, this many miles. I haven't got it
Right.
in my head yet how many miles that is, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And have you looked at the plan all the way out? What is the longest individual run that you will
Mhm.
do leading into this marathon? Do you know?
Oh, if I remember correctly, it was 20 or 22 miles,
Okay.
somewhere in that area. It's been a while
Yeah.
since I looked all the way to the end, but that's what I'm
Gotcha. You don't want to scare
remembering.
yourself too much. You're just like, I'll
Right,
worry about it
that's
when I
it.
get there, type of thing.
That's
Yeah.
it.
From memory, I think my very first marathon that I trained for, it was a similar. I had a
Mhm.
couple of 20 or 22-mile long runs. And everybody's different. I was at the point I was like, I think once I get to this point, I could probably just finish the marathon. Like, I don't even know why I want to stop here, but
Mhm.
you got to save those legs, right? So that's
For
good.
sure.
Um, okay, so have you? I know you're training for the Oklahoma City Marathon, and there's a chance. I haven't committed yet, but there's a chance I might be there.
Yeah, I am still
Yeah,
encouraging this. I think you should
yeah.
come.
There is a chance that I'm gonna loan Ashley Rains my bike box, and we talked
Mhm.
about maybe making that exchange at the Oklahoma City Marathon because she is
Hey.
also running that day. So I haven't committed, which means I haven't paid my entry fee yet,
Uh-huh.
but it is definitely something that I will possibly be at because it's not very far from me. Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, so have you looked past the marathon into what a triathlon training plan would look like? You mentioned you had done a little bit of biking and you hadn't swam yet. Just getting a
Mhm.
feel for where we are. Not passing judgment in any way, Brooke. We're just again, we just want to learn along as we go.
Right. So I did sign up for a trial for
Okay.
a try plan. And so I
Okay.
glanced at that a bit, but like I said, when I took that time off, I didn't
Gotcha.
really do it, but I did glance at it.
Okay.
And yeah, I actually signed up for a sprint try in July, the one that you
What?
mentioned to me. So I thought if I
Oh,
signed up for
nice.
one, that it would really get me going.
Yeah.
So signed up and yeah, so July 21st, I think it was in Dallas.
Nice.
Did
Oh,
in
you're gonna do
Dallas.
the one
Yeah.
the one in Dallas. Oh,
Yeah, the
that's
one that you told
exciting.
me about.
I
Yeah.
forgot. I forgot. Okay, so that's super cool. So we'll definitely have to coordinate schedules. I
Mhm.
can be there to support you and cheer for you in
Woo.
person because I got to be honest, I was actually looking at the calendar today.
Mhm.
And I know that we don't live that close, but we also don't live that far either, right?
For sure.
I am going to race the very first sprint triathlon that's available here in North Texas. It's going to be on
Mhm.
March the 10th
March
here
10th.
it's going to be in Keller, which is not that far from me, but it's a suburb of Fort Worth. And
Mhm.
you are more than welcome to come down and watch me race so that you will see all the things not to do on race day. So just watch what I do and make notes and say, okay, don't
Okay.
do these
Don't do
things.
this.
Yeah. And I am kidding about that, but at the same time serious because when I first got into the sport, I
Mhm.
had a lot of questions and, I didn't know who to ask. And I actually went and watched a local sprint triathlon because I was confused on
Mhm.
how the transition was going to work and all of that stuff. And it really was very helpful to me. So, you don't obviously have to come to Dallas, but if there is another local triathlon that you could go and just watch,
Mhm.
it could be very beneficial for you.
For
So just
sure.
think about doing something like that.
Deal.
But that definitely means, Brooke, at some point we got to get you in the pool.
Oh, I know. I did go as far as to get the form to join the YMCA that's about
Hey,
25 minutes away. So I did
that's the
get the
first
form.
step. Yeah, that's
Baby
the
steps.
first step. Asking the questions. Yeah, that is
Yes.
so that is so funny. And it's what and hopefully when you finally, you get into it and you get yourself in a routine, you're going to find
Mhm.
some very supportive people. I had a conversation with another athlete at the pool today. It made me feel so like I don't know, like I was like doing something right because he was asking me a bunch of
Hey.
questions about my swim form and all that, and
Mhm.
it made me think about how it was when I started and how
Mhm.
clueless I was. But getting in there and just doing it is
Mhm.
really the first thing. So I'm so
For sure.
excited that you've signed up or you've committed up to that race and that you're going to be in Dallas. That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
excited about it. And I did, the last time we chatted, I think we talked about goggles, and I did buy
Yeah.
a pair of goggles
Oh,
that
not
are
the you're not
adult
using your daughter's.
size.
Yeah, you're not using your
Not
daughter's goggles anymore?
for sure. And then I bought a bathing suit that was more like, okay, go swim for training rather
Nice.
than this is just what I said by the pool in.
Right.
So, goggles and bathing suit, check, check. Got
Oh,
it.
you're definitely checking some boxes. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna kind of recap really quick. So we've got goggles, we've got a proper swim attire, we've gotten the form for the YMCA, so we're
Yes.
one step closer there. We're marathon training. We've
Hmm.
settled in on an actual race. Yeah, we're making some serious progress. Where are we with the bike? And this is no pressure. I know that you have a bike
Hmm.
and you have access to a bike, but is it the bike that you are planning on doing your first sprint on?
No, I
Okay.
do not plan to use it for that.
Okay.
I mean, I probably could, but I think I want to just go ahead and buy a road bike because it's not. Um, so I have my stationary bike at home that I I rode 20 miles the other day. Like
There you
that's a
go.
lot for me.
That's a
Um,
lot for anybody.
so I have not looked at bikes a whole lot. I think you sent me a link to one. I did check that one out, but
Yeah.
I haven't
Okay.
purchased one yet.
That's okay.
It's
And
coming.
yeah, and you don't have to get everything at one time. And
Mhm.
you have access to, is it like a hybrid bike? Remind me.
So the one I have, it's a Sunny bike. I don't know if you know that brand.
Mm-mm.
That's my stationary one, and then I just have a cheapo mountain bike from Walmart that
That's right.
I
That's right.
ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which actually, and I've given this a fair amount of thought recently, to be honest. When I started my triathlon journey, I was also on a Walmart mountain bike.
mhm,
And I got quickly discouraged because how hard it was.
mhm.
But what I didn't take advantage of was how hard it was. And had I used that bike to get stronger, how much faster I
Mhm.
would have been when I switched over to a road bike, right? And so
For
it's,
sure.
no different than, lifting weights or doing resistance training or anything like that, right? So I think at some point you'll definitely want to get a road bike because it'll make
Mhm.
riding more enjoyable. But once the weather gets better and it's a temperature or the wind is to where you could ride outside, riding your mountain bike is probably you can. I mean, if you think about it this way, you could get twice the workout in half the time,
For sure. Yeah, that's a good
right?
point.
If you want to be time cognizant. And
Yeah.
I know that coming into a sport, it can be overwhelming because you got to get all of these things. But just kind of like slowly start checking off the boxes like you're doing, I
Mhm.
think is a solid plan. So cool. Well, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, what do we have on tap between now and say the next check in? So, we're going to continue to marathon train. We're
Mhm.
gonna actually sign up for the YMCA.
Yes, I need to do that. My dad lives in the town that the Y is in. He keeps saying, "When are you signing up? When are you signing up?" So,
Oh,
um,
nice.
it will probably be before we check in next time that I'll get
Okay.
membership and try to get in the pool a few times.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, are there any questions? Because I know we're just getting started, so it's okay if you don't. But is there any questions that you've come across that you're like, okay, this is the next kind of thing that I need to address or encounter or overcome or anything like that?
Um, I don't know if this is necessarily a question, but I have noticed because I have primarily just been a runner for the past
Hmm.
several years. When I'm not running and those days that I did bike instead of run, I almost felt this guilt. I was like, "Well, you didn't run
Really?
today."
Oh,
So, I'm like, "Well, I rode
wow.
20 miles on a bike." "Well, you didn't run, Brooke." And so I think that might be something that I struggle with and have to get past mentally of knowing, okay, you're shifting gears, you're doing a new sport, this, triathlon world. So I think that might be a bit of a head game for me,
Yeah.
but we'll get
Yeah,
there
I've never had that guilt, so I can't necessarily advise you there.
for sure.
Maybe a
Yeah.
little bit. There's days where I feel guilty. So I actually signed up to run the year. I don't know if I've told you this, but I've
I
committed
don't
to
think you have.
running 2,024 miles this year.
Hey, that's
And
exciting.
so it is exciting, but I'm not off to the greatest of starts. So we're on week 3, the start of week
Hmm.
3. I think I am about 50 miles in, which is
Okay.
not bad, but it is
Hmm.
behind schedule. But I'm convincing myself that once Oceanside is done and I've raced Oceanside, I'm going to spend
Hmm.
a fair block of time really logging some miles. So from like
Yeah.
May, June, July, I'll do some serious running. But and I'm going to ask some people's opinion, and I'll ask you as well. How much running is too much? Because I don't want to get out and get injured either,
Hmm.
right? Like, how many days a week would you say? You can't run every day, right?
For sure. What works well for me is 4 days, maybe
Okay.
five if I'm doing just an extra easy one. But I typically try to take off from running at least 2 days. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes my
Okay.
foot will give me problems, and I recognize if I will take a few days off, I'm
Hmm.
good to go.
Okay. I struggle with tight calves
Mm,
constantly. My
yeah.
calves cramp. So that's something that I'm always aware of. Now, knock on wood, they haven't bothered me to where I had to stop running, and so I
Hmm.
just want to be careful of not getting out too much. So I'm going to project this onto you for just a second. Don't feel
Okay, go
guilty.
for
Don't feel guilty if you don't run.
it.
Right? It's just your body is adjusting, and you're doing these other things, and you're engaging in these other muscles, and it's okay not to run. It's okay
Hmm.
not to run, right? So you'll be okay.
Okay,
You're still getting in your
perfect.
fitness in, and you're getting your balance in and all that stuff. But what you need to do is get to the pool.
I'm going. I'm going. I'm
I'm
doing
just giving you a hard time.
it.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Well, cool. Well, I think we've covered everything that we need to cover in this episode, right? We know where you're
Hmm.
at. We know what your next goals are. We're gonna follow up on our next check in, see where we're at. We'll be that much closer to Oklahoma City, so you can give us a recap of how your marathon training is coming. Maybe by then I'll have made a firm commitment to Oklahoma
Yeah,
City or not, and we'll see how that goes. But either way, I will be excited to see you in person in July.
for sure. Me too.
Cool. All right, Brooke. You have a good evening. Get some rest, and we'll see you on the next check in.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.